Okay, yeah. I hopefully I'm being heard clearly, right? I do hope I'm being heard clearly. So yeah, I just had to get my glasses off. I'm actually blind without it. Alright. Thank you guys for rejoining on the live stream, New York session timing. So the markets have just opened for the NY session, which should provide some volume. Let's see if we can get on some possible trades here. And yeah, we'll look at some of the movements that we already got, such as this GJ here, and some other moves that we could expect to see. Something that I'm looking forward to is possibly seeing the indices rally back to the upside. You can see we had a very strong swing down, very strong downtrend, right? We'll get into like what was the cause of that. Could actually take a look at Forex Live, so maybe you might get some analysis here. It has been a while since I checked this. All right. Let's see. We're just looking at the headliners here, right? Okay, so we see some news here from the ECB, right? Christine, the representative for the central bank, so she made some comments after we had a rumor of seeing that rate hike actually decrease from the initial one that they're going to have. From that, they're going to decrease it to 25 base points. So apparently we have some comments here. She's talking about inflation is way too high. So let's click this. Let's see what we have happening here, right? Okay, so the points made are: we will stay the course with rate hikes. Inflation expectations are not the anchoring. We have to avoid the case of that happening. All right. So basically, she just came to reaffirm that bullish stance when it comes to the ECB and interest rate hiking with the euro dollar. So we could expect to see a more of a rally back on the upside of the euro as those rumors start to dwindle, and we have we have a reaffirmation of that bullish stance, right? So we saw the euro dollar kind of rally back to the upside here. We could possibly see a continuation with that, right? So let's see what trading possibilities we could have here on the euro. Let's see if we have anything with the indices as well. And thank you guys for joining. Hopefully I'm being heard clearly, right? As always, just let me know if I'm being heard clearly. Really do appreciate it. And why this chat not showing? Just store this. All right, nice. I don't know why not coming up here. Okay, my desktop is tripping for whatever reason. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff, right? We saw that the indices came down really strongly, such as US 30, NAS 100, J30, and such German stocks. Let's see if we could get a possible trade on that. I don't necessarily trade this, but it does look pretty good, right? It does look pretty good to see some buy setups, especially since the dollar itself is still sort of in a weakish area right now. It's surprising to see how much of a rally downside we're seeing. Just a continuous fall here on the stock markets. Take a look. Alright, so this is one area I'll be keen on getting some buy setups, possibly on. Yeah, this seems like something that we could possibly see some buying from once we retarget into this level. If price is able to maintain it as a supportive area, we could possibly see a swing back to the upside. I would wait to actually see price come lower, maybe lower into this zone, and then look for that rejection going back to the upside. However, if we don't get that full retest of that zone, the only way I'll re-enter, enter this trade, sorry, not re-enter, enter this trade, and then we see the support being formed here, and then we gradually see price starting to go back up. I think if we could just get past these wick rejections here, right, if we take a look here to the left, you can see some nasty wick rejections from this area. If we could get past that, I do think that we could get a clean continuation higher. This being the first targeted area, and then this being the second one here. So this is something that has potential to actually play out. In terms of the fundamental, on the fundamental level, right, there's no real cause for why price dropped all the way down as it did here, right, so strongly to the bearish side. However, we could overall expect the market to recover. So I do think that this seems like a good possibility trade to actually happen, and we could extend this even higher here, right? But again, waiting for price to actually push above this area. If we get a nice bullish candle close, then the continuation seems more probable, more likely to happen. All right, so this is something I'll take a look at. Let me just set an alert. And yeah, this would be like the potential trade that we could get in on. All right, so let me just I don't know why it's not showing up here on why it's not showing up here on my when I come into the minimized view here. That's just weird. Other possible trade setups and that we could get in on. Let me just clear this out. All right, so I am long in the yen right now. As we see, the yen is the strongest currency just overall in the markets right now, right? So that being said, I do think at this point we should look at yen long possibilities. I did take a trade here on AD JPY before I started the stream. So we're gonna see how that plays out. It's in profit right now, but yeah, we'll see whether or not we're gonna see all that continuation all the way down. If we could get something to like a 1 to 3, then at that point I'll look to take profits too as well. But yeah, the yen has been the stronger currency pair, right? The stronger currency right now in markets. As you can see from the start of the week, price just kept on plummeting and just kept on going, right? And this was actually the starting of yesterday, right? So this was actually yesterday. Price just continued falling, and we fell pretty strongly to the downside, right? So yeah, price fell pretty strongly to the downside. Quite the pip movement. All right. So with that being said, I do think as we continue forming new structural lows and stuff, we should see that continuation. There's no reason to think at this point price is going to reverse, especially with the strong bearish momentum, right? A lot of retail traders at this point, when they see this large move to the downside, they're like, all right, at this point price had to go and reverse, price had to come and just retest these lows and just wick back all the way up, right? We're looking for the reversals now. That is not the case. All right, whether you're new or you're a seasoned trader, I think that is the mentality that a lot of people can quickly fall into when they see large moves like this. They're like, okay, this is overextended. At this point, I have to look for the buys or buy positions. No, if the momentum is to the downside very strongly, then more than likely you're going to see a continuation of that movement, especially when you have structural levels supporting that bias, right? So along with the fundamentals, we do have the structural low, right? Price broke below this area. We came up, we didn't get a full retest, but at this point, I do think that we could see that momentum, that sell pressure continue downwards, right? So that is something that I'm looking at to possibly see play out. If I do get stopped out, I'll just look to retake another position again on the sell side, because nothing here indicates that price is in a position to buy right now, right? To buy against the yen. So yeah, this is a setup. If you just got in on the stream, then you could take this as a possible trade setup for the day. But we'll see how it plays out. 80 USD. 80 USD. I did expect price to kind of push back up here because again, the dollar is being sort of strong, but not because of the dollar strength itself, but the risk tone has changed quite a bit, right? Compared to the starting of the week, it has taken a dive. Therefore, we're seeing the fall on the risk assets such as the AD, the NCD, and to some extent the pound as well, right? You can see here on the DXY, the dollar currency. This just shows that the relative US dollar strength it's sort of ranging, right? We're not either trending up right now or trending downwards in any clear pattern. We're sort of just ranging in between two areas right here, right? If we extend it like this, that is the range that we're seeing. Overall, however, we are in a strong downtrend. Price has formed structural lows, those lower lows, lower highs, and continuously did that. If we take a look here on the daily, we can see that we are trending downwards after price came to this high and just gradually started forming those new structural lows, right? So with that being said, why is the USD strong right now? If we look at some of the USD cross pairs, so AD USD, Euro USD, sort of ranging, GBP USD ranging as well, and NZD USD strong push to the downside, right? Let me just take that music. Let me restore the chat. If anybody have any questions, feel free to ask. I don't know why this pop-up view is not showing when I try to extend it from down here. But yeah, so I'll just have to check. I have to check this regularly just to see what's going on. Okay, yeah. So moving forward, something that I'm interested in seeing here on the NCD and the AD is sort of a movement back to the upside again, because the weakness extending on this the dollar pairs here is not from the USD being strong, but just the relative strength compared to the risk assets, right? So I'm expecting to see some sort of a reversal. If we could see risk asset tone, the risk tone improve a little bit, then we can possibly see this move all the way back up to these highs. So that is something that I'm waiting on to potentially happen. If I'm to enter on this trade, what I'd like to see is this being maintained as a supportive level. Maybe price actually pulls higher above here, right? At that point, we could say safely that we're now seeing momentum kick back to the upside and then take a trade from here, leading all the way higher up, right? So I'm gonna just add an alert here, waiting for NZUSD to cross this. Right, you can see we have some wick rejection from here, right? So if we're able to cross that, I do think that we can get more of a clearer move to the upside. There's less noise if you look here to the left, and we should see price continue moving higher up. Right, so that's something that has some potentiality to actually play out as well. Whether it happens today or not, I do not know. We'll just wait to see price actually pull above here, right? On XPX 500, again looking to see price pull up here before we actually take anything, just because of that the sort of overall bearish tones we are seeing in the market right now. Alright, so price has pulled back here. I'm going to leave this as is and let it do its thing. So if it does come all the way to the stop loss area, now at that point we'll just manage the risk. But yeah, I do think at least price should continue a little bit lower, especially with the New York volume coming in. We should see some push to the downside, right? If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I want to pop out the chat. You know what? I'm just gonna. No, actually, if I do that, it'll close everything, right? Hold on, let me just. Because I don't know why that's not showing up below. so I can't regularly check the chat how I want to over there. So I don't know. Alright, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask, guys. I really have to get a separate monitor to watch everything. But living in Trinidad, that is the gripe that we face in a third world country. I'm jealous of you Americans. You'll have access to everything so easily, and here's just pressure. As we say, it's pressure. Okay, so yeah, it looks like maybe I don't like when we see like when candle patterns like this form, or well, candle structures like this form, when initially we had that push to the downside right under the bearish candle, and our price came all the way back to the opening of the candle, because this means more than likely we're just gonna see price actually push a little bit higher here, right? It's something I've seen happen very commonly multiple times, but I don't like I don't look at candle patterns or candle formations, anything like that, to give me my general trading bias. So I don't execute given that, okay, at this point price looks like it's gonna reverse all the way back up or anything like that, right? I like to stick with my bias and just cancel out all that noise, but it's something that commonly happens. So if we form a top wick right here, and we actually see this candle close a little bit bearish, then that just gives more confirmation to see it continue to the downside. However, if this actually does stop us out, I'll just re-enter the trade right around that same area, right? Because overall that bearish tone should continue in today's market, despite despite the volume. If it actually wicks us out, that bearish tone should continue. There's no real reason to suggest that price is going to reverse and start heading higher now, right? And the reason why we picked this trade to enter in on, because as well, this is where a lot of the momentum is, right? We could expect momentum to carry us downwards, so we could get a better possible yield from this trade, rather than if we look at the other trade setups at this current point in time, right? So yeah, that's just one of the ways you have to think about the market, right? So yeah, New York session starts. Price is pulling upwards a little bit here. We're seeing that wick back and forth. But for thus far, I'm just gonna stick with my initial analysis on that AD JPY. We're seeing GBP JPY coming down a little bit here as well. I do think that we should continue bearish, but the next possible entry for this, I would say, is once price does push all the way back down here, then I would look for sell setups at that point, right? We could enter early here, right? Risking it for price to continue moving down. Nobody says no. I do have the risk tolerance to do this. Rain is falling, so hopefully I'm being heard clearly still, right? Yeah, I do have the risk tolerance to actually do that, but to be more conservative on the safe side, wait to actually see price pull lower. Once we have that pull below this area here, below this zone, I think we should see a continuation even further, right? So this seems like a more likely scenario where we could get a higher or better yield, and be more clear on our bias as to why price should push down, right? So you see it's doing this weird thing as the stock market opens. Just yeah. If we take a look here on the AD JPY, what's happening? So we kind of left that wick to the upside here. We'll see what price does on the candle close. Coming pretty close to the stop loss level. So I'm just gonna put a thing here. I'm putting a alert here. If it does stop us out here, just re-enter the trade right back at entry. Same thing, right? Just because we get stopped out here doesn't mean, all right, at this point price is going to reverse. Unless we see some sign of an actual reversal, then I'll be like, okay, time to change biases, so forth. But for now, just let it do its thing. So you see it's wicking back and forth, like just shy of the stop loss. That's just part of the trading. A lot of traders at this point, they just get anxious. New traders get anxious that price is gonna hit them at the stop loss and they're gonna exit early instead of letting the trade play out as it would. So yeah. Oh, we have some news coming out here as well, so let's take a look at that. All right. Let me know if you guys what you guys are looking at. All right, so we have some news, pretty nice for the dollar. So we have some very strong, very positive some very positive turnouts. The expectation was worse than what we got. So we have some relative positivity for the dollar right now. Jobless claims, continued jobless claims. Okay, numbers are better than expected, came down. And I really think this is of much importance. What else we have coming up? We have some Fed speeches, so we could pay attention to that. Possibly that might move the. All right, so we got worked out on 80 JPY, right? So 80 JPY actually came closer to stop loss. At this point, spreads might have taken you out, so that's just it. Just, you know, we take the slight L, and I just have my re-entry right back right here. I just gonna re-enter right back here, because watch, at this point, if this pushes up but it fails to actually close above this area and price wicks back down, then that just gives us more of a confirmation that sellers are still in control of this market. This will be the pullback as where sellers will get into, right? Again, structural levels that we are looking at. This is just a pullback, right? This is a pullback into a major zone to see a continuation movement with the overall momentum or trend that we are seeing, right? That momentum being the strong bearish move to the downside here, right? We got volume coming in from the NY session. Price pulled up right here. So at this point, if we do come back down to the actual entry level here, then that just gives us more of a clear confirmation that price is possibly gonna just trend all the way back down here, and possibly even lower here, right? The next structural level, which is these lows right here, and take us out for a profit. So yeah, I'm not worried about the actual pullback here. Just play sell stops if you're looking to actually enter on the trade, right? Sell stops right around this area here, and I'm gonna let price do its thing. So let me just type that out. Sell stops at 88.435. Stop loss is around 20 pips, right? I actually like putting my stop loss levels larger than what they appear to be on the here on TradingView. So this is 20 pips at 88.615. Right, so this is a trade. Again, if prices continue moving higher, then we wouldn't have any reason to retest back down to this level here for an entry. However, if price is to come back down, right, sellers are to take control right around this area, we see price pull back, then we're gonna get triggered in and more than likely see that continuation movement to the downside. So if you're unsure about this, you can risk 0.5% or something like that. I'm risking 1.5% on this, so making that 1 to 9 RR for me, risk to reward. So yeah, so we're just gonna leave this. Let's see what it does, and this is probably just gonna be the only trade for the day, right? I'm not gonna be taking too much options, anything like that. We're seeing here an 80 USD price is pulling back up a little bit. Whether that's going to continue moving up, I don't know, because risk sentiment itself is pretty dismal. So seeing that move to back to the upside, it would be sort of strained to actually see that movement back upwards. So that's why I'm less reluctant and actually looking to enter a trade, especially even if price does come into this entry zone and we close above that. Yeah, I'm not looking to enter hastily on that for any buy situations. Take a look at GPJPY. It would have been nice if JPY could have just continued all the way up higher. That would have been nice, but the likelihood of that happening seems very unlikely. So I just gotta wait and see what price does here as well. Again, if we do get a bearish close below this area, that just signifies more selling pressure, and we should see that continuation even lower to these next structural lows here, where price sort of found its support area, support level to push higher. So we could retest back down into these lows. The yen is pretty strong, so I'm not gonna go against it. I'm not gonna be that guy who just wants the markets to work out how he wants it to. I'm gonna look at the information, see what we have going on, and execute on the trade setups. Right. So this is just one of the trade that we actually taken. Anything else? I do think that the stock markets could recover on the day. However, I'm not gonna predict when that is, right? I just told you guys what I'm looking at here when I would enter a trade on the stock market for XPX 500. Seems like the more clearer, more structural sound of all the indices. I do think that price could come back up here and then we could get a continuation. Once we target right back into this area, we should see a continuation, and that is as well would mean that the US dollar is weakening even further, which means that the yen could strengthen even further, being the safe haven currency pair, which means that we have more of a clearer confirmation of our bias actually playing out and being more relatively sound. So you can see how everything goes hand to hand, right? In some situations, not all the time, but yeah, that is something we could expect to see play out as well, right? So GJ pull to the downside, looking for continuations. 80 JPY. Even if we close above this area, I'm just gonna leave my sell stops, and we'll see what price does. Because on the next candle, we could just see price just wick all the way back down here, target us in, and then continue down, or whatever the case is, right? So yeah, this would be the trade. This would be the trade for me. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. A for a break and retest. Let's see. Let's look at Euro AUD. Euro AUD break and retest. Let's see. So looking here from daily level again, it's something that I like you to be aware of is that the risk sentiment itself is kinda, it's not there, right? It's sort of a mixed situation right now, right? We have the bearish tones for the dollar, right? Risk sentiment is dwindling at this point. Hence, we saw that dollar rally on the AD, for example, right? What happened? What came to make price move how it moves, right? Let me just reset this for you so I could show you what happened. Let's just go into this week. Looking at the news events that hit. I don't know why my web browser is deciding to move like ass right now. Okay, let me just. Why is the page being so unresponsive? I do not understand. I'll have to restart this. But okay. Basically just to so to speak, what happened? What we had happening was we had the unemployment change for the 80, right? For the Australian economy. It came out very bearish. I think it was negative 14k something, right? For the employment change, as well as some other news that we did have for the 80 as well, right? So all of that gave it a bearish movement, right? We saw price continue this gradual push to the downside. I think it was right around here. Price continued to push downwards and gradually continued to do so on the back of that bearishness, right? So we saw that being reflected here on the 80 as well as the NZD. Those are the risk assets. Hence, the risk tone overall in the markets has dwindled compared to how it was before when we saw all of this nice bullish move to the upside, right? If things did come out good, then at this point right here, once we came back into these structural support levels, then price would have just rallied and continued to the upside in favor of the AD. So when it comes to Euro 80, what that means, right? It's a structural break and retest. All right, so let's take a look here. All right, from the daily level, we have two things going on. Right, we have this area where price targeted in, rejected, pulled back down, and now this is the next target. This is the next important level that we are looking at, sort of a daily resistance area, right? We could extend this all the way to this side. We could see how important, how significant that level is. But just for recent time frame sake, we're looking right at here, right? We saw price pushed bearishly here, right? We're getting that retest here. We could actually draw this as the next structural lows here. All right. So what does that mean? What does that mean for us if we actually look to take a trade on this? Right. Looking at the current price action, the euro itself is not really in that much of a great place. We have President Christine, right, just announced. Well, she said that how the policymakers as well should just take a reflect on the actual talks about decreasing interest rates from what they initially said they were going to do was be very bullish for the interest rate increase, interest rate hiking, just to combat that overall inflation and so forth. So possibly we can see price move to the upside here, right? We can possibly see that. However, given the structural where price is at right now currently on this zone, it is possible to see some dwindling on the euro side of things. So I do think at this point price could just range, right? So I don't think that we have really a clear consensus as to where we could see price go, because we do have bearishness on both sides. So until we have some sort of a breakthrough in terms of the fundamentals, whether that's either in case of the AU, whether we get comments that all right, so the case numbers came out bad. However, we are seeing we're seeing more better numbers coming along or something like that, then that would give the AD more of a clear push to the downside, or a reason to actually start moving bullishly, especially if risk sentiment does improve, right? Because risk sentiment could just turn around just like that. So yeah, I do think at this point it's hard to say really whether or not you should actually enter this for a buy position, because I mean you could, right? You could, but I do think that you end up holding this trade unnecessarily long, to be honest. It's up to you, but I just think at this structural level here, if you enter a buy position, yeah, you'll just be holding that trade for way too long, because price might just start to range on you. But again, it's up to you as a trader, right? But that's just my 2 cents. We'll see what price does, whether or not we get that movement during the course of today. We're gonna see price pull all the way up here. If it does, then I hope you executed a trade, and congrats to you. However, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I just think we're just gonna see some ranginess until we get a deciding factor on both sides, right? Anybody have any other questions? Feel free to ask. Right, so my only thing is watch. You can see that price is actually pulling back here on 80 JPY. So I'm just gonna do something real quick. Let me just execute here. So we can see that we have that pullback from the level, from that high, right? See what price decides to do here. You see 80 USD actually pulling back from here. And that's because we've seen that the USD dollar strength kind of improving on the cross base here, having the pullbacks doesn't necessarily means that the dollar itself is strong. It just shows that how hand in hand risk sentiment works right on the markets. Right, so we have the USD pulling back a little bit. I'm actually gonna take this out, right?
I'm happy to be here.
We have the USD pulling back a little bit here. Take a look at US 30 and SPX 500. Alright, so we'll see what happens here too with this, right? Because we're seeing the dollar sort of not improve, but we're seeing that pullback as risk sentiment still remains at a peculiar place, right? We could possibly just see the indices as well just relative to the upside too, because of all that weakness is both in terms of risk sentiment and the dollar itself as of now. And with the numbers we have, yes, they might positively influence price at the moment, but given the grand picture of everything, I don't think that this would be a long-lasting move. So we'll see how that pans out here on the charts. Well, this is all that we have happening right now. There's not much to look at really. Maybe we could possibly scalp something, but I'm not particularly looking to overextend my risk today. Just taking things gradual. And GP, JPY, looking for that pull to the downside. So at this point, let's just take a look here on the 15 minute, and the 30 and the 15 minute, right? So yeah, this looks pretty nice actually. Let me just remove this, and if you actually take this out, then watch, we have some clean structure right here. Price pull to the downside, we broke past this area, we came back, retest, right? Price pulled up, but then we had a bearish close here. Now we rejected. We have some candle rejections here. Look at that, the 15 minutes. All right, go wait for this candle close. If we have that candle close below here, if you see that candle close below here, then we could possibly execute on a sell position to the downside. This being a potential trade. Sorry, something in my eye. This being a potential trade setup here. Let me just take this out and redraw this. Right, so this is a potential trade setup here. Take a look at the 30 minutes. If we get that candle with rejection from the top and price does manage to close bearishly below here, then yeah, that continuation seems more probable to the downside back into this targeted support area right here. All right, so yeah, this is a trade setup you could actually take as well. So let me just type this out. So stop. Stop losses around 17 pips. $158. 595. And yeah, so this is a possible trade setup as well. See, because if this does flip bearishly, then that just shows that the momentum, we're going to possibly see that continuing to the downside. It just shows that sellers are in the, any more, have a stronger hold on the price movement itself, and we should see that continuation move even lower, right? So that is something that we could potentially get a trade on as well. So I'm gonna set this sell stop on my account, and we'll see. Right, risking around 17 pips. I risked around 30,000 on this. So roughly 160. Yeah, roughly 160 on this. Alright, so let me just, and if you guys don't know how to calculate your position sizing, then you can just use this position sizing tool. You just have to put your account size amount, what trade it is that you are looking at. So in this case, JPY, account size, upwards, and you just put your risk ratio, right? How much it is that you're going to risk, or you could just put the dollar amount. You could swap it to money, and you could just put the dollar amount. So in my case, that would be 68. Right, stop loss in pips, around 17 pips, and yeah, that'll give you a total. That's quite more lots that. All right, because this is incorrect sizing. All right, so this will be my total size if I'm risking 60,000 on this account size. Right, you're risking around, if you're risking 60,000 with a 17 pip stop loss, the sizing is 450, around 450 lots, right? So four separate 100 lot size positioning, right? And that would be the trade for me here. So we'll see how this pans. Looking at 80 JPY, price is pulling up slightly right here. Again, we're still in that targeted area here. We'll see how price plays out. I think once we do get triggered in, we're just going to see that gradual continuation to the downside. So we'll see how this candle closes. We're coming to the candle closing around 4 minutes. And on the next candle, whether we're going to get a bearish push. If we do get a bearish push, initially, I would reduce my risk, right? So I'll reduce my risk right around the entry level, just because at that point price could pull back up. Obviously price could leave a wick before it continues downwards, so that is something to pay attention to. Or you could extend your stop loss even further above this current candle high, right? Just because if prices continue moving bearishly to the downside, then we should respect this candle high and just continue with that movement downwards, right? So that is something to pay attention to as well. How the price action price action does move on the chart itself. So yeah, that's it. We don't really have much else going on. See 80, the Euro 80, right? So you would have been that guy. Probably seeing this in red right now a little bit. If you're looking for that break and retest a break to the upside, retest it. Because I'm assuming what you meant was looking for a buy positioning on this, right? Because if we're seeing it break anyway, I think it break to the upside here. If we're looking at all these other structural areas, the most recent structural areas, so you'd be possibly looking for a retest and then a continuation. That could happen right around here. So if that is what you meant, then yeah. If you meant that you're going to buy somewhere around here, you've been seeing your trade currently in the red, and then you'll be panicking. You'll be like, oh, why are you trading going my way? Why it's doing this? What's going on? And you would have been forced to actually exit the trade early, just because you're now unsure about whether your bias is correct or not, which happens to a lot of new traders. So just pro tip, don't be that guy. Wait, have some patience, and let price do its thing. So you see, watch this lovely rejection from the upside. Price is coming to a close. Again, I have my sell stops here, right? However, if you want to, you could just execute once you see that bearish candle close here. So we'll see how this plays out, whether this results in a win or not over the course of the day. And same so for the AD JPY, because the pairs, all the JPY pairs do share similarity. I do think on the AD JPY, however, we should get more of a movement to the downside, more clearer, with more clear, concise structural movements, because of that risk sentiment just being sort of bearish. We're in a risk off tone, so I do think that should show more potentials for a better yield and less stress once we do pass those levels. All right. Yeah, no problem. I'm just happy to help with the analysis. But yeah, that's just my take on it and everything right now. So today, this week actually, we had very confusing. We had some very confusing moves if you're not aware of the fundamental factors that drive price how it did, because we saw the euro coming from that bullish stance actually became very bearish significantly because of those initial rumors that we had about the interest rates increasing, actually dwindling over time from some of the members. So that did affect price, and again, that was just a rumor, right? It didn't really have any real news to support that, but it was just like, okay, this is what's going around, the newsroom, right? And that influenced price. So it shows you just how impactful fundamentals is from just rumors. If it affects market psychology, then it has the potential to influence the market, the price action, right? So that was just one of the things that happened, and we saw that move to the downside. Same thing that happened for the yen itself as well. The yen continued very bearishly, but however, we were able to get some buy positions on that as well, right? The buy-in came from, again, understanding this structural, this meaning behind the fundamental analysis of, of what it actually means when we have some fundamental data come out. This year moved to the upside. Why? Because the BOJ left their rates as is. All right. Why does that even matter? The BOJ left their rates as is, negative 0.1% or something like that, and they usually do have negative rates with the BOJ and the Swiss. I believe the Swiss was the first to implement the having negative rates and where they actually pay loaners, right? And that happened, right? And because of that, even though rates remain the same, it was expected, right? We saw this bullish push, price just pushed to the upside against the yen, right? So understanding fundamentals, and not understanding how they affect price action is really important. I would say it gives you like an edge to either stay out of the market when you shouldn't enter. If you see the best of best trade setups, if the fundamentals don't agree, then you take it either for a small position, right? If it results in a stop out, then you lose less than you were supposed to if you just wasn't paying attention to the fundamentals, right? So that's just part of why I actually love fundamentals and actually started it, because I only started fundamental analysis, trading fundamentals sometime in, I want to say, late 2019. So not really that long, right? It depends on what you say long is, what long is for you. For me, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years is not long. It's pretty short. So yeah, I've been doing this for some time, but not long enough. But it is something that I like implementing, and I find it very useful with my trading. It really helps me with understanding the movement, why price does what it does, how to dissect the chart itself, right? Understanding what it is, what news we are looking at, how this news could actually potentially affect price, whether I should enter the trade beforehand or maybe afterhand to look for better possible setups, whether a news event, that theme of that news event is going to continue gradually for weeks to come, or is it just something that's impulsively going to have an effect on price and then that's just it, right? So that's all part of why fundamentals is just, I don't know, it's exceptional. So yeah, so price actually pulled away from this resistance zone. So at this point, we're looking for that entry to get triggered in and price to continue moving gradually to the downside, looking at 80 JPY. 80 JPY. So we retested back here pretty strongly. Currently, this is a candle that we are looking at, looking for a bearish push from here and gradually seeing that continue during the course of the rest of the day and even into tomorrow as well. Just, you know, gradually having that structure play out. So we're just waiting to get triggered into that position and see price do its thing. And yeah, that's it for the trades today, right? This might actually play out a little bit before this. It's around 71 pips, and this the pip count is a little higher, 108 pips, right? Looking at the structural levels, yeah, this we'll see what happens, right? But that's it. In terms of anything else that we have to potentially look at, not much. Again, this is just the second candle forming within the New York session opening. So we'll see how price decides to play it out, whether we're gonna get that continuation in the favor of the yen, momentum carrying us through, or whether we're gonna see some sort of rally on the dollar, or so be it, right? So that is all that we have going on for now. Even if price pushes up here again on the AD USD, I'm not gonna take a trade on this just because risk sentiment isn't where we like it to be to execute a trade on this. So just gonna leave this as is and let it, whatever it does, it does. Let me just remove this actually. All right, guys. So that's it for me. I do hope that you found this educational, informational. You see the trade setups that I'm looking to execute on this and the GBP, JPY as well, and we'll see. Right, we're sitting around 60k on each. Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out, right? How that pans out. If I do update you guys, then it's because we're winning. If not, it's because I lost the trades for the Lambo. So yeah. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining in. I really do appreciate it. I really appreciate your patronage. Please leave a like if you haven't. Helps out the channel a lot. Helps me pay my light bills. And subscribe if you're not already subscribed, as you'll be informed as to where we go live, new videos I post, and yeah, it helps the channel grow. Share with your friends if you found anything here informational. You departed some knowledge onto you. That's all I can really wish for. And yeah, that's it. So we'll see how everything works out, and yeah, that's it for me. So peace. Have a good trading week, guys.